Now the question is whether or not when they, not the question is not a matter of if they'll do it, but when. And I'm assuming probably with the Switch 2, it'll probably come down the line, like because the NES and the Super Nintendo came out first in 2018 on the Switch Online when they added the online features. Because people forget that the Switch 1, the online for it was free. It was free from the start it launched in 2017 till September of 2018. It was free for a whole year and a half. And then they charged people for the online. And mainly added the what do you call it? The Nintendo Online and the Super Nintendo Online was another way to like sort of entice people to buy it, and that was sort of their introduction to it. We didn't get the next update or the next release for it when they announced the Nintendo 64 and the Sega Genesis games. Both of these were added to a new pack, which they called the Extended Pack. So now you would have to pay $80. You have to pay $80 if you had the family plan, or $50 if you had the singular plan. So there was that. And then after that, you have the next one, which they released later down the road, which then they announced, which was the game. Or when did they release the N64 and the Genesis? I believe both of those were announced in 2019. Yeah. And then in 2022, I think. I think it was 2022. I don't remember. I think it was 2022 or 2021. I don't remember which one. But they announced. I think it was 2022. They announced the Game Boy, the Game Boy Color, and the Game Boy Advance games coming to the Switch Online. And then obviously we got the GameCube announcement when they announced the Switch 2, and then this year, later in the year, we also got the announcement of the Virtual Boy coming to the Switch Online. So. Okay, I didn't need a battle. But the next one we have is oh, thanks, 10 more. So I think after that we're gonna get the Wii. I think we're gonna get the Wii Virtual Console. That's gonna be next, and it's probably gonna be releasing. I wouldn't say next year, because usually they wait a few years to build up some of their other console releases. I mean, with the Super Nintendo and the NES released in 2018, a year later we got the N64 and the Genesis. Then it took another whole, I believe, 2 to 3 years before we got the Game Boy, the Game Boy Color, and the Game Boy Advance. And then it took another whole 3 to 4 years before we got the GameCube and Virtual Boy announced. So my assumption is that we're probably going to see sheep. I need to know if one of us has Spark, if not Thundershot. Alright, we're getting this one. and antidote. Anyway, anyway, I feel like the Wii will come out. I think they were going to release the Wii version in 2020. I want to say 2027 because they have a unique opportunity. I wouldn't say it's going to happen because it's going to be impossible for one reason. But they have a unique opportunity of having almost every Super Smash Bros. Game on one console. The N64 version through the N64 Online, Melee through the GameCube version for the GameCube Online, Brawl through the Wii Online when they add Win and if they add that. And then Super Smash Bros. Ultimate through the Switch 1 being backwards compatible, and then the new one that comes out. The only ones they won't have will be the Smash for Wii U and 3DS because those would have to be ported over, and it's kind of pointless to port a game over. It's different when it's through a virtual console thing and it's just a retro thing, but for the Wii U and 3DS, they would have to literally backwards maneuver them and then. Well, not backwards maneuver. They would have to backwards engineer them into actually working with the Switch 1, or with Switch 2, and Switch 1 possibly, but probably just Switch 2. And so basically, because they wouldn't be releasing it on a platform, it'd basically be re-releasing the game and charging for it. And people aren't going to buy the Wii U version or the 3DS version of Smash Brothers when they already have Ultimate, which is basically Smash Wii U and 3DS but better. So my opinion is just not gonna. That's pointless. And but they have the unique opportunity, like I said, to have every other Smash Bros. Game under one roof. Super Smash Bros., Super Smash Bros. Melee, Super Smash Bros. Brawl, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, and then the next Smash Bros. Game when it comes out. That's a total of 5 Smash Bros. Games under one freaking roof. And it's insane. That's actually what they did with Luigi's Mansion. They actually have all Luigi's Mansion's games now under one roof. At first, we had Luigi's Mansion 1 only on the Switch, and then Luigi's Mansion 1 and 2 were on the 3DS. Then they re-released Luigi's Mansion 2 on the 3DS or on the Switch, called Luigi's Mansion 2, and then now Luigi's Mansion 1 through the GameCube Online is now available on the Switch 2. So now you have all three Luigi's Mansion games under one roof, which I think is pretty cool. And they have the unique ability of doing that with Mario Kart, actually. Getting every single Mario Kart under one platform. And the reason they could do that is because, like, I know they said, well, we can't, well, maybe not every single Mario Kart, but almost every single Mario Kart. Besides 1. And people say, well, what about 8? Well, 8 Deluxe is pretty much just, it's Mario Kart 8 for the Wii U, but Deluxe, so it's essentially the same thing. So the Wii U and Switch pretty much share the same game. I'm not going to include that, so it's part of that. It was ported over, so it works. You have Super Mario Kart for the Super Nintendo, Mario Kart 64, the Nintendo 64, Mario Kart Super Circuit for the Game Boy Advance. You have Mario Kart Wii for the Wii, if that comes out. Mario Kart Double Dash for the GameCube Online. And if they add the DS one, you have Mario Kart DS, and then Mario Kart 8, and then Mario Kart World. The only one missing is Mario Kart 7 for the 3DS. But then you have all other, the other 8 Mario Kart games available on the Switch too. That's insane, actually. You have 7 Mario Kart games on there, 3 Luigi's Mansions, and you could possibly have 5 out of the 6 Smash Brothers. And you got all the mainline Mario games on here now. All the big 3D Mario games are all, actually, I think they are all on the Switch too, except for one, like I said. You have the mainline games. You have Super Mario Brothers, Super Mario Brothers 2, Super Mario Brothers 3, Super Mario World, Super Mario Land, Super Mario Land 2, Super Mario 64, Super Mario Sunshine, Super Mario Galaxy, Super Mario Galaxy 2, Super Mario 3D World, Super Mario Odyssey, and Super Mario Wonder. The only one they're missing is Super Mario Land, 3D Land, and it's mainly because it's, again, a 3DS title. Now that one could be ported over, because that wasn't like it could be ported over. I just don't think they will. A lot of the 3DS games, I think they would have to wait until they would have to emulate a lot of them. The Switch 2 could do it. They could easily have a 3DS online and have all the 3DS games. They could easily have a Wii U online and have all the Wii U games as well. But the problem with those, when it comes to those games having an online, is that's emulation. Emulating those games would be hard, because that means that they're going to be using their standard control schemes, which means for the 3DS you need a second screen, and in order to have a second screen you can't do that, so it would have to be on. That's why the DS is a bit of an issue, because it would be using its original gimmicks. It's not catered to the actual system it's on. Unless they tinker with it, which they probably could. But the Wii U is a different story. The Wii U, again, kind of like this 3DS, if you were to emulate it, it's catered to its original gimmick. But again, I don't know if this is what they would do. I don't see it happening, at least with the 3DS and the Wii U. I don't see those games getting a online, at least not in this generation. Maybe if they call it the Switch 3, I don't even know what they'll call it after Switch 2. I mean, this is the first time Nintendo's actually used numbers for their console. They always have some weird design name. They had the Nintendo Entertainment System, which was designed to, well, it's called the Famicom in Japan, but the family computer. And then they just slapped a Super on it for the next one, because I think people like Super Nintendo Entertainment System, Super Famicom. Nintendo 64 was made because it was 64-bit, so that's why they did that. The GameCube was just the GameCube. The Wii, I don't even know why they call it the Wii, actually, because it originally was called the Revolution. Then there's the Wii U. They just slapped the U on the Wii. Then there's the Switch, which they show why that was called that. Obviously, there's Game Boy. They just add color, Game Boy Color, kind of straightforward. Game Boy Advance, just more advanced graphics of the Game Boy. Then they dropped the Game Boy line with the Nintendo DS, which DS dual screen. Then 3DS, which was 3D screen, so because it was a 3D gimmick. So they did have like continuations of consoles, and then just name it new. Like, for example, like they went with the Nintendo Entertainment System, Super Nintendo Entertainment System, so it was basically just the entertainment system. They kept the entertainment system, just added the Super part. And for the Game Boy, they just added color and advance. And then for the DS, they just added the 3DS, so the DS and the 3DS, so they just added that to it. And then the Wii and the Wii U. But this is the first time that Nintendo went Nintendo Switch and then Nintendo Switch 2. Not Nintendo Switch Super, not Nintendo Switch Ultra, not Nintendo Switch Pro, not Nintendo Switch Mega, not Nintendo Switch Master or Advance 2, which is unheard of for Nintendo, because they usually don't use numbers. That's not usually their shtick. This is the first, that's something that Sony usually does. Because, you know, PlayStation 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. kind of need that, yeah. But I like I said, I do see them adding the Wii and the DS. I do. The Wii I see coming first because it's easy to implement. I just see them waiting for a opportune time since they just released the Virtual Boy and the GameCube. So I see them doing that maybe in 2027 of them releasing the Wii Online for the Switch too. And then the DS, I see that coming maybe within the same year, but like not around the same time, not announced at the same time, but it could. But I see the Wii and the DS coming within the same year. Just I don't know if that's just a prediction. There's other consoles that I could see happening. I do see I do see them using. I do see there's a possibility of other video game manufacturers who made consoles in the past getting their consoles on the Switch 2 or Switch. The only ones that I see a possibility would be any of Sega's, maybe some of Atari's, and possibly some of the Neo Geos or SNKs. And then there's a small possibility for Microsoft. But only for the original Xbox. If they were... So, what would they release at the beginning of each of these if they were to have these? So let's go through. First we have the DS. I think the first... They usually have like 10 games they announce right off the bat. So I think the first 10 games that they're gonna have, maybe not 10 games for the DS, because when they announced the Super Nintendo, when they announced the NES and the Super Nintendo, both of them had 10 games each, so there was 20 games that were announced. For the Nintendo 64 Online, they only had 10 games announced at the start, or no, 9 I think it was. For the GameCube, only 3 games came at the start. For the Game Boy Advance, I believe only 5 games came at the start. And for the Game Boy / Game Boy Color, I think only 5 games came at the start. The Genesis, I believe, came with 10 games from the start. Knowing the Wii, more than likely it'll probably come with the same thing with the 3D that the GameCube would start off with. It'd probably only come with 3 games, and these games would most likely be Super Mario Galaxy. Even though we do have that version that released, I'm sure they would still do it. But Super Mario Galaxy, probably Wii Sports, obviously, and I'm trying to think of what the other one would be. That was the beginning, one of those earlier adopted games. So Wii Sports, Super Mario Galaxy, and probably, oh yeah, that Red Steel game. That technically is a Nintendo IP, so Red Steel. Not really something I really... I don't really care for that, but that's definitely what they're going to use. Those would definitely be the 3 games that they would show that would come with it. And I think the games that they would announce that would come later, because they would have, then they would show like maybe like 10 other games. And these games would be obviously Super Mario Galaxy 2, Twilight Princess. It'd be like Twilight, so it'd be obviously Super Mario Galaxy 2, Twilight Princess, the Link's bow and arrow thing, which was exclusive to the Wii and never came out again. So those three. I'm trying to think what the other 7 would be. Probably Super Smash Bros. Brawl, Mario Kart Wii, Mario Party 8, Mario Party 9, Metroid Prime 3, Kirby Return to Dreamland. Hey, Weedle. But yeah, I think that's what they would do for the Wii, at least. Obviously, that was to be more than that later, but that's what that means. For the DS, I think they would have 5 games to start off with. These would be Super Mario DS, Super Mario 64 DS, Mario Kart DS, probably one of the Kirby games, probably, and also one one of the Legend of Zelda games, and probably one of the Mario and Luigi games. More likely Partners in Time. Dang it. Dang it. See, I got Pichu last time and it ran away this time. I forgot Pichu showed up here. Well, let's just... Yeah. And then I think they would announce, like, maybe a few other titles. We'd probably see, like... Oh, I thought that was the way I could go. Probably see, like, the other Mario and Luigi game, obviously, like Bowser's Inside Story. Probably the Mario Party game. Okay. The other Kirby games, probably the Metroid game. Maybe the Pokemon Pinball game. Let me get it. Leer that rock. Now let's defense her down. Oh, they haven't taught me about that yet, so I can't attack it. And then, now if they were to do, I don't know anything about the Atari's console, so I'm kind of skipping that. But they do have the Master System for the Sega. Though I know they would have said Sonic 1 and 2, Sonic Chaos.